Hi Photos subscribers. Today I'm talking to our teenage group, those that are interested in photography and they've perhaps done something in school and found that they like photography, or it's been something that they've always liked and they've held a camera in their hands for a long time. I was about 8, I believe, maybe a little bit younger when I first held a camera in my hand. I then saved up something from a promotion of a cereal company. They let me they promoted sending in a whole bunch of box tops for a camera, and I did. But I spent a lot of years buying some film with money I had earned to shoot in the camera that I had at the time. It was a 110 millimeter camera, and it's just a little point and shoot. You threw a flash on top, and it was one of those things where it wasn't reusable like some of the flashes we had today. It had little bulbs that were one-time use. Once you used them, the whole thing had burnt out. Be confident. Just because you are young does not mean that you're not worth hiring. So be confident. Your age doesn't have to do anything with your experience level. There are a lot of young photographers who have a good amount of experience, and most of the time they're doing senior portraits or other things for people close to their age that may be graduating a year ahead or anything of their own class. They may even decide to do it 18, 19, 20 when they've already graduated, taking pictures of the classmen under them. Also, be sure to manage your time. Time management is important, that you're not spending more time with a client than you should. Not to be rude or cut them off, but you might have other things to do in your schedule, especially if you're doing school. Don't let portraiture take time away from your studies and everything else that you need to do. But don't let one client shoot time take up more time and put you late to the next photo session either. But all that aside, when you are looking to make money as a teenage photographer, and it's a little confusing because you don't really have any experience of what your value of time is, or wanting to set your prices at an appropriate rate, it's a great thing to do, and it's a great thing to realize that your prices may not compare to a professional studio that's near you. However, if you have the ability, and I was going to say you have added lights to give more light to your shot area with your subject, it doesn't have to, you don't have to have added lights. If you do have reflectors to soften shadows, that's a great thing, so that you can set up those reflectors in a specific way, but you're going to need the ambient light to be able to bounce those off the reflectors. Setting your session price, because you have this equipment to be able to do these certain things, is a great thing, so that you don't have to shoot outside all the time. However, setting your session price does not mean you have to lower your prices if you have to shoot outdoors or shoot at a location. To be honest, some of the highest paid photographers in the industry are wedding photographers, and there's one here in my area who's booked up 5 years out, and he is the highest paid photographer in the wedding venue, the industry of wedding photographers, and he isn't guaranteed to even be at the wedding. You will get people that have studied under him to shoot his style, and you'll usually get his understudies, not him. So don't hesitate on setting your prices what feels like high to you, but do some comparative study of professionals in your area and what they charge. If you can find some teenage photographers, see what they've found to be a reasonable rate for their clients. But also realize that sometimes it's who you shoot for that really sets the price. Not that you would ask your client how much they would pay. You can do that tactfully, but I would suggest you know who you are setting your prices and your packages for. If you're shooting in an area where the high schools are the private schools, and you know that that private school has a little bit higher tuition rate, etc., know your group that you're marketing to. They would perhaps want to pay a little bit less rate but higher than the rest of the area. So the same thing, if you're pricing yourself out of all your client area as well because your prices are too high, and the price preferred range, which it's not necessarily like you're going to find that online. You're going to have to go and search what the charges of the packages are, or the fees of the packages are, of those photographers in your area, and kind of figure out what your prices are from there. A lot of individuals, almost as a nation, set their prices at about $100 a setting for 5 to 10 photos for professional headshots, which are included on people's resumes or photos that are put out online. So don't feel like you are losing money either if you need to build a portfolio. But also, don't hesitate to ask people to sign forms of image releases so that you can use some of those portraits or whatever as stock images. It's okay to do that, and I don't know of any professional or freelance photographer that doesn't have those forms at the ready to have everybody that they take images of sign, which are called image releases. Those image releases do give you the opportunity to use those portraits in other things. Looking up session prices, y'all may actually be more adept at it than I am, but you can do searches for local businesses and put in your zip code. Put in photography studios or photographer near me and use your zip code and help yourself narrow it down to a specific regional location, geographical location near you, and use that to your specific advantage. Enter your 7-digit zip code behind your search. Another thing is to help your confidence level. A lot of photographers may use what we consider professional photo editing software. Don't hesitate if you don't either. I haven't since I was in high school. So partly because it was expensive and I wasn't making consistent money because I didn't do portraits all the time. I wasn't geared that direction. I did well with people, but I didn't want to have to focus more on positioning a person, styling their hair, and that sort of stuff to be able to get a shot of a portrait or to do a portrait session for them. That was not my passion. So all the photos that I took, I would run through the software, but I used a free software. But don't let that play on your mental view of your abilities either. You are capable, and you have the ability to take a photograph, and you have the ability to edit it as well, no matter what your software is. But even if you edit, you are in the top 10%, in my opinion, of my experience of photographers, because you do edit your photographs. You don't just take 10, you take more, and then you narrow it down to get the best 10 of your shoot. But then you take those 10 and you tweak it just a little bit in software so that it gets a better view. Or it takes that photograph and it makes it a more optimal photograph for your client. So don't hesitate. If you don't have what's considered to be a standard software set, don't make that a negative against yourself. And you can also use that to your advantage and say, with this, my process is not only shooting. My process is post-processing after a shoot as well. So when people ask why your prices are higher than they expected, or they don't quite think your prices are something that they would want to give to a teenager, let them know that this is a professional process. This is not a teenage process. All photos can be edited, so don't hesitate feeling like you have to get 10 perfect photographs to then go and edit. It's best if you can get nearest your final image in camera, but don't hesitate either that there's nothing that can be done post-process either. All our post-process now is where a lot of people are trying to do the processing of what used to be done with film. Film had to be taken from a monochromatic exposure of film in that kind of sepia tone. That's where our sepia tone actually comes from, is a large blown up view of the tonal character of a film strip. And once that was done, then the process of exposure and magnification in the darkroom process is where we get part of the post-processing now. Even though our cameras would output digital color now, back then it was a different setup and different process, but the darkroom process took the monochromatic sepia tones of film strips and turned those into a magnified or blown up view of that film strip exposure to give you a 3x5 or 4x6, 8x10 shot of that scene that film strip captured. But also, in realizing that you have a wealth of portraits, photographs, and other images to use your image releases to give you the ability to come back later, not just selling it to stock, but suggesting that to the client you shot about 12 months ago in those images and say, hey, I've got some more shots. Would you like to update your portfolio or update your social media images? I've got these available to you at a certain price. Use it again as an opportunity to sell more images. At that opportunity, you can use those photos you have in previous history to sell back to them. It's not been that long. They can use those images again 12 to 14 months later. But if they say, well, what are your other options? You could upsell them on your packages to do more portrait shots for them. It'd take a little bit more time. It's not something that you could do as quickly to get a little bit more money with less time, but upselling to other packages for a new shoot, that's fine. You can upsell that individual if they're in a business or they're starting their own business, upsell them to a quote corporate package so that you could do some shots for them of their product or a business professional shooting, portraiture shoot for them as they are starting up their business. Give them that professional look and brand on their website if they're looking for that. Or you can even do a marketing promotion, which they use in email or social marketing or other things. It's one of those things that a lot of individuals, business or not, may not know social media that well, and so you could even suggest in your social media, your marketing package, that when you take portraits of them or photographs for their marketing campaign, that you could go out and handle some of that marketing for them for a limited time. Be sure to let them know how much time you're spending on it and what that package really entails. Always over deliver though on your package. If you tell someone you're going to be giving them 5 images in the package that you have for this portrait shoot, give them more. I wouldn't necessarily double it, but if you tell them you're giving them 5 in this package, however you price it, give them 3 or so more. If you're giving them 10, I would say go up to giving them 5 more. That suggestion I have of giving them at least half, if you're giving them 10, give them 5 more, is what's called over delivering, so that you're not giving someone just what they are expecting they paid for, but they're getting nice, something practical. They're getting something a little bit more than they expected. It's something always, something unexpected and good is always a nice thing to get in over delivery. Let them know it's this over delivery is not an oversight. It's intentional. Tell them thank you for their service and buying that package from you. Don't hesitate to let them know why you're giving them more and what you appreciate about the session and how it was a benefit to you and you wanted to benefit them. If you come across individuals who are a little bit hesitant to hire you because you are a teenager, find some ways to let them know that, respectfully let them know that you are experiencing these things and you're learning about business, and who knows, maybe it's even part of what you want to do and you incorporate into your school. It's really not limited. You can take this experience, and this is where a lot of individuals have gone into business from their ventures and what they like to do in high school. So find some ways in a quick one sentence answer to share your competitive edge, but why you want to do photography. Is it something you're pursuing to build into a business, or is it something that you think is going to benefit where you go in business? But remember this, experience is not measured in years, but the quality of service because of what you have learned. I learned that very thing myself, that experience doesn't have to be in years. I had a hard time getting people to hire me when I was younger because they didn't expect me to have 8 to 10 years experience. But now that I've had 8 years in a professional studio as well, then I have that to add, and now that I'm in my 30s, people expect me to have more than 5 or 8 years experience, although sometimes they look at me and think 25 years, it's a little bit of a stretch. It's not. Really, I did have experience with film, and I've had experience now with digital photography too. But if people still have issues with your age and they just can't get past their mental block, thank them for their time and move on. You don't have to spend a lot of time, but be polite also. Kindly thank them for listening, and if they change their mind, this is where it's important for you to take control. Basically, interview them. If they're changing their mind and they're kind of coming back around, show them why you are worth hiring. Take a little bit of control and interview them. Ask them what they're looking for. Test to see if they're going to follow your direction, your design as the art director of the photo shoot. Don't just say, okay, well they changed their mind, they came back to me, I'm gonna just go through whatever. Take some time and see if they're really changing their mind, or if they just decided, well, it's better to go ahead and try a cheap package anyway before I go and spend money on a big photo shoot that I know a professional's going to do well, but they may be overpriced in their package anyway. But be clear on your package contents. If you are quoting to someone $97 and realize that that's not the package they're looking for, they're actually looking for something else that you offer, more photographs, more time, different locations, or outfit changes. So then you're going to have to plan at your locations somewhere to be able to change in a clean environment. Take that into consideration, because that's going to take up more of your time, and your time is a value, and that's why you're charging the prices you are for your packages, because you're putting your time and your value into this. Always over deliver. If you're giving them 10, add 5 to it so that they get a good value, and they're surprised and expecting a good quality from you again. That's often where they're going to suggest you to somebody else, is because they got good value from you and they're going to recommend you to somebody else. If your $289 package includes 10 portraits of print quality, something that's 150 pixels per inch, then, or 150 or higher pixels per inch, then give them 5 digital quality social media and 2 professional portraits to be used for their resume or put online with the social networking resume websites. But again, always over deliver, giving them something more of value that they appreciate and want to see. So as a photographer, whatever your age is, you're a teenager or you're in your early to young 30s, there's always going to be somebody that underestimates you. Part of it is just take time, be confident in your own skin. If they are not comfortable working with you in whatever experience level you have, whether it's age or not having what they want to see in a photographer of that style, you don't have to take it. You don't have to work with that client. It's important that you work with somebody who's willing to work with you. And that's going to be where you have the best quality coming out of that shoot anyway. And you're going to get the better portraits, because that person that's being imaged is going to be more relaxed with you. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, comment down below, and like this video. We'll talk to you later.